The deputy's flashlight was still on even though the sun had started coming up, a white circle shaking against the eviction packet clipped to his metal clipboard. My house key was in my hand, my dog was barking behind me, and across the street my parents stood on their front steps in bathrobes like they had bought tickets to watch me lose everything. My mother lifted her phone to her ear, called me and said, "You should have done what family asked." I didn't answer her. I looked at the deputy and said, "Show me the filing page." And when he turned it over, his expression changed before mine did. "My name is Emily Carver. I'm 33 years old." Because my father hadn't just asked the court to remove me from my home, he had filed paperwork saying I had never owned it at all. The first thing I noticed was my name. Not as owner. Not as daughter. Not as the person who had paid the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, repairs, and the miserable winter plumbing bill when the pipes froze behind the laundry room wall. My name was typed under occupant. Emily Carver, occupant. Under plaintiff, it said Carver Family Holdings, LLC. I stared at those words like they belonged to another universe. My father, Russell Carver, had created that company years earlier for his landscaping business. Or at least, that's what I thought. I had helped him scan receipts for it when I was 24. I had made him a logo on Canva. I had never imagined that same company name would end up on a court order taped to my own front door. The deputy, whose name tag read M. Jensen, cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I'm required to execute the writ unless there's a stay or a defect on the face of the order." "A defect like what?" I asked. He looked back down at the packet. "I'm not your attorney. I'm not asking you to be. I'm asking what made your face change." Across the street, my father folded his arms. He was close enough that I could see the steam rising from his coffee mug. My mother stood beside him, still holding her phone, watching me with that tight, disappointed mouth she used whenever I refused to be managed. Deputy Jensen lowered his voice. "The service affidavit says you were personally served at this address 2 weeks ago." "I wasn't. It says you signed refusal of receipt." "I didn't." He turned one more page. "And it says the property owner is Carver Family Holdings, LLC by quitclaim deed recorded last April." That sentence hit harder than the eviction order. Last April, I had been at my grandmother's bedside in hospice, reading her the same mystery novels she used to keep stacked beside the recliner. Last April, my father was bringing me casseroles and telling me not to worry about paperwork, that family would handle the boring stuff. The house had been my grandmother's, Evelyn Carver's little blue bungalow on Palmer Street, with the cracked bird bath and the pantry shelves labeled in her handwriting. She left it to me in her will because I had lived with her for 3 years, while she went through dialysis. My parents hated that quietly. They said it made my brother feel overlooked. They said property should stay under the family umbrella. But the deed after probate had my name on it. I had seen it. At least, I thought I had. "Can you wait 10 minutes?" I asked the deputy. He gave me the practiced, tired look of someone who had watched 100 people beg for time after waiting too long. "For what?" "For me to pull the county records." My hands were shaking so badly I typed the parcel number wrong twice on my phone. Deputy Jensen stood on my porch while my dog scratched at the glass behind me, and my parents watched from across the street like statues of judgment. When the recorder's website finally loaded, the page showed the history of my home in clean little rows. Evelyn Carver to Emily Carver. Personal representative's deed. Recorded 7 months after Grandma died. Then another line. Emily Carver to Carver Family Holdings, LLC. Quitclaim deed. Recorded April 18. My throat went dry. I clicked the image. There it was, a deed transferring my house away from me for $10 and other valuable consideration. My signature was on the bottom. Except it wasn't my signature. The E in Emily looped too high. The C in Carver looked like my father's handwriting when he signed birthday cards for both my parents. And beside it was a notary stamp from a woman named Denise Mallory, commission number printed in blue ink, stating I had appeared before her in person on April 16th at 2:30 p.m. I remembered that day because I still had the hospital visitor badge in my junk drawer. I had been in room 412 with my grandmother while a nurse changed her morphine drip. "I was not at a notary office," I said. Deputy Jensen looked at the deed on my phone, then back at his packet. My father finally crossed the street. "Emily," he said, using the soft voice that always came before a threat disguised as concern. "Don't make a scene. This is legal. We tried to keep this private. You filed an eviction against me. You forced my hand. My name is forged on a deed." His face barely moved, but my mother's did. One blink too fast. One glance toward the deputy. That was when I knew. Not suspected. Knew. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't my dad overstepping because he thought he knew best. This was a structure. A company, a deed, a notary, an affidavit of service, a court filing, and now a sheriff's deputy standing on my porch at sunrise with legal permission to remove me from a home my grandmother had left to me. I turned to Deputy Jensen and said, "If the deed is forged, what do I do right now?" He looked at my parents, then back at me. "You go to the courthouse the minute it opens," he said. "Ask for an emergency stay. Bring everything." My father laughed once under his breath. "You don't have everything." He was right. I had a phone screenshot, a shaking hand, and a dog barking behind a locked door. But I also had the first page of the lie. And for the first time in my life, I understood that my family hadn't been pressuring me to give them the house. They had already taken it. Deputy Jensen did not cancel the eviction. That part matters. People think when something is obviously wrong, everyone in uniform stops and says, "You're right, ma'am. Justice will pause while we figure this out." That is not what happened. He said, "I can give you until 9. It was 6:17. At 9, he continued, "Unless there's a stay from the court, I have to proceed." My mother made a satisfied little sound from the sidewalk. My father said, "Russell, don't be cruel," to himself almost, like he was playing both parts in a performance, stern patriarch and reluctant victim of my bad choices. I looked at him. "You forged my name." "Be careful," he said, eyes flattening. "Accusations like that can ruin a person." "Good." His jaw twitched. I went inside and shut the door hard enough to rattle the glass. My dog June threw herself against my legs, trembling. She was a 70-pound rescue with the confidence of a wet paper bag, and she had no idea why strangers were on the porch, or why my mother's voice was floating through the window saying, "Emily, this can still be civilized." Civilized. That word did something to me. I stopped shaking. I grabbed a laundry basket and started filling it. Not with clothes, but evidence. Grandma's will from the blue folder in my desk. The probate order. The original deed copies. Property tax receipts with my checking account number blacked out. Homeowners' insurance declarations. Mortgage statements. The plumbing invoice. Photos of me and Grandma in the kitchen. My hospital visitor badge from April 16th. Then I opened my email and searched Dad, Deed, House, LLC, and Sign. Most of it was family noise. My mother asking if I would host Easter. My father sending articles about asset protection. My brother Tyler texting, "Dad says you're being difficult again." Then I found an email from last March. Subject, just housekeeping. Dad had written, M. Attaching the transfer docs we discussed. This keeps the house protected from probate issues and taxes. Sign where flagged. I had replied, "I'm not transferring the house." Grandma left it to me. "Stop sending this." His response, "You're emotional. We'll revisit when you're thinking clearly." I printed it. Then I searched Denise Mallory. A notary came up 3 towns over. Mallory Mobile Notary Services. Weddings, real estate, powers of attorney. I called the number before I could talk myself out of it. A woman answered on the 4th ring, groggy. "Mallory. My name is Emily Carver. You notarized a quitclaim deed last April saying I signed my house over to Carver Family Holdings." Silence. Then, "Who is this?" "Emily Carver, the person you claimed appeared in front of you. I notarize a lot of documents. I was in a hospital room with my dying grandmother at the timestamp on that deed. Her breathing changed. I can send you my ID, I said. Or you can tell me whether my father brought you that document. I can't discuss client matters. Then discuss it with the police. Another silence. When she spoke again, her voice was low. Was the deed recorded? Yes. Oh my God, she whispered. Every hair on my arms lifted. What do you mean, oh my God? I need to call my attorney. No, you need to answer one question. Did I appear before you? She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She hung up. I stared at my phone. Then my brother Tyler called. I almost didn't answer, but rage has its own curiosity. What did you do? He snapped. Good morning to you too. Mom's crying. Dad says you're accusing him in front of a deputy. He forged my name on a deed. He did what was necessary because you wouldn't be reasonable. There it was again. The family language. Necessary. Reasonable. Private. Civilized. You knew, Tyler exhaled. Emily, don't be dramatic. You knew my name was forged? You were supposed to sign. Everyone agreed. I didn't. You benefited from Grandma for years. Free housing, attention, the whole Saint Act. Dad said the house needed to be shared. Shared? It's in his LLC. That's temporary. I laughed, but it came out like a cough. Tyler, if this was legitimate, why am I finding out from a sheriff's deputy? He didn't answer. Outside, car doors opened. I peeked through the curtain. My father had called reinforcements. 2 men from his landscaping company standing beside a box truck. At 6:53 in the morning. They hadn't come to talk. They had come to empty my house. I called my best friend Mara. She answered with, "If this is about brunch, I swear, my parents are evicting me with a forged deed." She was silent for exactly 1 second. Then I heard movement, keys, a door slam. "I'm 10 minutes out," she said. "Do not let them inside." And Emily? What? Record everything. So I did. I set my phone on video and walked back onto the porch with my basket of documents. My father smiled like I was finally surrendering. "Ready to do this the right way?" he asked. I held up my phone. "I am now." My father's smile disappeared the second he saw the red recording dot. "Turn that off," he said. "No, this is a family matter." "That you filed in court." One of his employees, a broad man named Pete who had once installed Grandma's raised garden beds, looked at the deputy, and then at me. "Mr. Carver said this was abandoned property." I almost laughed. "Pete, I am standing on the porch in pajamas holding my dog's leash." Pete took 1 step back. My father pointed at him. "Don't engage." Mara's car screeched up to the curb at 7:06. She got out wearing mismatched shoes, hair in a knot, laptop bag over one shoulder, and the expression of a woman who had been waiting years for my family to finally be this stupid. In public, she marched past my parents without greeting them. "Deputy," she said, "has the lockout occurred yet?" Deputy Jensen looked relieved someone was using formal words. "No." I gave her until 9 to seek a stay. "Excellent." Mara turned to me. "Courthouse opens at 8:30. We need scanned copies, a timeline, and a sworn statement. Do you still have Grandma's medical portal login?" "Yes." "Pull the April 16 visit record." My mother crossed her arms. "Mara, you are making this worse." Mara looked at her. "Mrs. Carver, I am a paralegal, not 12. Don't try that voice on me." My mother flushed. For 15 minutes, my porch became a war room. Mara photographed every page. I downloaded Grandma's hospice notes showing I signed in at 1:48 p.m. and out at 5:11 p.m. On the exact day the notary claimed I was across town signing away my house. Then I found something even better, a text from my father at 2:37 p.m. that day. "Dad, how's Mom doing today?" "Me? Sleeping? Nurse just adjusted meds." "Dad, stay with her. I'll handle the errands." Mara read it and whispered, Oh, he is cooked. My father must have heard because he lunged toward the porch steps. Deputy Jensen moved between us. Sir, he said, I need to speak to my daughter privately. You lost that privilege, I said. He stared at me, and for a second, I saw the man behind the Sunday dinner mask. Cold? Furious. Not hurt that I distrusted him. Furious that I was making it difficult. You have no idea what your grandmother promised me, he said. She put her promise in a will. She was confused. She beat you at Scrabble 3 days before she died. His mouth tightened. At 8:02, Denise Mallory called back. Mara hit speaker before I could answer. A man's voice said, This is attorney Caleb Voss. I represent Ms. Mallory. Who am I speaking with? Mara answered. Mara Singh, assisting Emily Carver. We are on a recorded line. No, you are not authorized. We're on Emily's porch during an active eviction based on a deed your client notarized. Choose your next words carefully. A pause. Then Denise's voice, small and trembling, came on. I didn't know it was going to be recorded. My knees weakened. What wasn't going to be recorded? I asked. The deed. Your father said it was internal family paperwork. He said you had signed already but couldn't come in because of your grandmother. He brought a copy of your license. Mara's eyes locked on mine. Denise started crying. He said he'd used me for years, that it was fine, that everyone does convenience acknowledgments for people they know. I didn't see you. I'm sorry. My father shouted from the sidewalk. That woman is lying. Mara said into the phone, Ms. Mallory, will you provide an affidavit today? Her attorney cut in. We need to discuss, Denise interrupted him. Yes. For the first time all morning, my mother looked afraid. Not embarrassed. Not angry. Afraid. At 8:24, Deputy Jensen followed us to the courthouse instead of staying behind. My father protested, but the deputy said, I'll wait to execute until the clerk confirms whether a stay is filed. My parents drove to. Of course they did. In the courthouse lobby, my father caught my arm. His fingers dug in hard enough to hurt. Think carefully, he hissed. You file that affidavit, Tyler goes down too. I froze. Tyler. Mara stepped between us. Take your hand off her. He did, slowly. But the damage was done. Not to me. To his own secret. At the emergency civil desk, I submitted everything. The forged deed, hospital records, texts, emails, Denise's promised affidavit, and a sworn statement written so fast my handwriting looked like a heart monitor. The clerk disappeared into chambers. We waited on wooden benches while my parents sat across from me. My mother dabbed dry eyes with a tissue. My father checked his phone again and again. At 8:57, the clerk returned. The judge granted a temporary stay, she said. My breath left my body. Then she added, and she wants all parties in courtroom 2 immediately. Courtroom 2 was small enough that I could hear my mother whisper, Don't say anything unless Russell tells you. That sentence landed differently now. Not Mom and Dad. Russell and his witness. Judge Alvarez entered without ceremony, silver hair pinned tight, reading as she walked. Nobody breathed until she sat. I have an eviction writ, a challenged deed, an allegation of forged signature, improper notarization, and possibly false service. She looked over her glasses. Is that accurate? My father stood. Your Honor, this is a family dispute being exaggerated by my daughter. Judge Alvarez didn't blink. Are you an attorney? No. Then sit down until I ask you to speak. Mara squeezed my hand under the table. The judge turned to me. Ms. Carver, did you sign the quitclaim deed dated April 16th? No, Your Honor. Were you before Notary Denise Mallory at 2:30 p.m. that day? No. I was with my grandmother at hospice. I submitted the record. I saw. She turned a page. Mr. Carver, did you present this document for notarization? My father rose again, slower this time. I facilitated paperwork my daughter had agreed to. That was not my question. His face reddened. I dropped it off. Was your daughter present? He looked at my mother. Judge Alvarez's voice sharpened. Do not look at her. Look at me. No. The room went silent. My heart pounded so loudly I thought everyone could hear it. The judge leaned back. So the notary acknowledgement is false? My understanding was Denise could notarize based on prior knowledge. Your understanding was wrong, my mother whispered. Russell. The judge looked at her. Mrs. Carver, you will have your turn if needed. Then the courtroom door opened. Tyler walked in wearing a suit jacket over a t-shirt, breathing hard, like he'd run from the parking lot. My father's expression changed so fast it confirmed everything. Tyler, he snapped, leave. Judge Alvarez looked at the bailiff. Who are you? Tyler swallowed. Tyler Carver, Emily's brother. And why are you interrupting my hearing? He held up a folder. Because my father told me if Emily fought this, I should destroy these. My mother made a sound I had never heard from her before. A small animal sound. My father lunged from his chair. The bailiff stepped in front of him. Sit, Judge Alvarez said, and the word cracked like a whip. Tyler walked to the clerk with shaking hands. The folder was passed to the judge. She opened it. Page by page, her face became stone. What is this? She asked. Tyler looked at me, not at Dad. Copies of emails between Dad and me. Draft deed. Draft lease. The eviction complaint, before it was filed. And a service affidavit. My stomach dropped. The judge's eyes lifted. Service affidavit? Tyler nodded. Dad asked me to sign that I served Emily. I didn't. I was in Indianapolis that week for work. My badge records are in there? I turned slowly toward my father. He was staring at Tyler with pure hatred, not disappointment. Hatred. You coward, Dad said. Tyler flinched, but he didn't stop. He said Emily would fold if the sheriff came. He said once she was out, we could renovate and rent it through the LLC. My mother covered her mouth. I finally understood her fear. She hadn't just watched this happen. She had believed it would work. Judge Alvarez closed the folder. Mr. Carver, did you submit a sworn affidavit of service you knew to be false? My father said nothing. Answer. He lifted his chin. I acted to protect family assets. The judge's voice went cold. You acted to dispossess your daughter using a deed you now admit was acknowledged outside her presence, and an affidavit your son claims is false. My mother wanted the house shared. I stood before I knew I was moving. Grandma wanted me safe. Everyone looked at me. My voice shook, but it held. She left me that house because she knew exactly what you were. She told me not to let you turn love into debt. For the first time all day, my father looked surprised, because that was a private sentence. One grandma had whispered when Dad was in the hallway, arguing with the hospice billing office about estate efficiency. Judge Alvarez removed her glasses. The eviction is stayed pending further order. I am referring this matter to the county prosecutor, the recorder's office, and the notary commission. The quitclaim deed is subject to emergency injunction. Mr. Carver, you are not to enter, alter, lease, sell, encumber, or direct anyone to remove property from the residence. My father exploded. That house is mine! The bailiff moved again. Judge Alvarez stood. Not today, it isn't. Then she looked at me. Ms. Carver, change your locks. Today. Outside the courtroom, my mother tried to grab my sleeve. Emily, please. We need to talk as a family. I looked at Tyler, pale and wrecked beside the wall. I looked at Mara holding my evidence basket like it was a shield. Then I looked at my mother. No, I said. Now we talk through subpoenas. By noon, Mara had a locksmith at my front door. By 1, Deputy Jensen came back. Not to remove me, but to hand me a copy of the judge's order. He stood on my porch, looking embarrassed in the stiff way decent people do when the system almost helps the wrong side win. I'm glad you asked to see the filing page, he said. So am I. Across the street, my parents' curtains moved. For the first time in my life, I didn't wonder whether they were angry with me. I hoped they were scared. The next weeks were ugly, in the way truth is ugly, when it has to be dug out from under polite lies. Denise Mallory signed an affidavit admitting I had never appeared before her. Her commission was suspended. The recorder flagged the deed. Tyler turned over emails, texts, and a voicemail from Dad saying, "Once she's out, possession becomes reality. Courts don't unwind reality easily." But sometimes they do. The civil case moved faster than anyone expected. Because my father had made one fatal mistake, he assumed family shame would keep all of us quiet. It didn't. The judge voided the quitclaim deed. My name went back where it belonged. Not occupant. Owner. The prosecutor charged my father with filing false instruments, attempted unlawful eviction, and forgery-related offenses. Tyler was granted limited immunity for cooperating, though he still lost his job when his employer found out he had been helping draft documents for the LLC on company time. Mom was never charged. That surprised me at first. Then I understood. She had never needed to sign anything to be part of it. Her job had always been softer. Invite me to dinner. Tell me I was selfish. Make theft sound like fairness. Make surrender sound like love. She called me 73 times in the first month. I answered once. "Emily," she said, crying for real this time, "your father may go to jail." I sat at Grandma's kitchen table, the same one where we used to shell peas into a yellow bowl. "Then you should have done what family asked," I said. She went silent. I hung up. That was the last time I heard her voice. 6 months later, the house looked different. Not because I had changed everything, but because I had stopped living in it like someone might take it if I got too comfortable. I painted the front door deep green. I planted lavender along the walkway, where Dad's employees had once stood waiting to carry out my furniture. I turned Grandma's sewing room into an office, with a locking file cabinet, a scanner, and 3 copies of every document that proved what was mine. Mara teased me for becoming the county records goblin, but she also brought champagne the day the corrected deed appeared online. Tyler came by once in early spring. He stood at the edge of the porch, holding a grocery bag full of old family photos he said Dad had planned to throw away. "I'm sorry," he said. I believed him. That didn't mean I invited him in. Forgiveness, I learned, is not the same thing as access. So I thanked him for the photos, took the bag, and let the locked green door stay between us. A year after that morning, I woke before sunrise. For a second, the quiet felt like danger. My body remembered the knock before my mind did. June lifted her head from the rug, ears alert, waiting for me to decide whether the world was safe. I got up and opened the front door. No deputy. No clipboard. No parents in bathrobes across the street. Just dawn spilling gold over the porch boards, lavender moving in the breeze, and Grandma's wind chime turning softly above me. I stepped outside barefoot with my coffee, and stood exactly where I had stood when my name was printed on an order, like I was a stranger in my own home. Only now, the house was warm behind me. The locks were mine. The deed was mine. The silence was mine too. And if my story taught me anything, it's this. When someone tries to erase you with paperwork, don't cry first. Ask to see the filing page. If this story stayed with you, tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place. And if you want more stories like this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.